we're seeing these unions coming together, maybe for the first time ever, in the biggest way ever.
Today, like every other day in Canada, there's just breaking news. It doesn't seem to stop. Welcome back to Moose on the Loose Extra. This is my second channel. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Today, we've got Doug Ford going off on Jagmeet saying about his pension. He just absolutely rips him at a press conference. We've also got Canada completely falling apart. The justice system is completely broken. We have multiple examples of that. We've got protester blocking the streets, a judge ruling against a hard candy sniffing dog doing its job, among some other stuff. So let's jump into this. So first off, we got Doug Ford here. He just absolutely goes off on Jagmeet during this press conference here today.
How might the federal NDP decision to reverse its backing for the Liberals at this point impact your decision on a possible early election?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, MP Singer is just blowing smoke. There's nothing more important to these greedy politicians than collecting a pension. And he was elected in October 2019, and October 19th, 2019. And I'll be floored, and I'll stand up here and apologize to all the greedy politicians if he calls the election early. But let's face it, he wants his pension. He's not going anywhere until October, let's say 20th, 2025. Because there's him and a whole bunch of other politicians that want to grab the taxpayers' money. So my bet is he's not doing anything. He's just putting on a big show like he has for the last number of years there.
Based on your answer, does that mean you won't be calling an early election next year?
Well, again, we haven't made that decision yet. I'll tell you, we aren't calling an election this year, and we're going to make sure that we continue with prosperity and creating jobs and opportunities for the people of Ontario.
Yeah, so basically just calling out Jagmeet's pension. We all know it's about his pension. Even though he broke his deal, he ripped up his deal, as he said 100 times. He can still vote with Trudeau, and he still will vote Trudeau until he can lock in that, I think it was 53-day period where would then trigger an election. So if it's 53 days later and it's past February 1st, he still gets his golden pension. Jagmeet doesn't look like he has a lock on his seat. He fronted and said, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to win my seat again, no problem. That's not so sure. He's going to wait until December sometime before he would vote against Trudeau and trigger an election, because that locks in his pension. This is happening in downtown Toronto here. So with students going back to university, they've decided to take over the streets of Toronto. As this says here, the pro-chips and hummus gangs praying for destruction of Israel on College Street in Toronto. So, I mean, they're blocking the rail line, clearly. Is this not against the law, blocking major infrastructure? How do people, like, people who take this transit to get home and to move around, like, can they sue them now? Like, what is going on in this country? You can't just block the street because you have something to protest. Like, go to a park. Go to your church. Go somewhere that's not in the middle of the street. They do this on purpose. It's ridiculous. Enough is enough. Round these people up and start making arrests. Shutting down roads for prayer is unacceptable. Exactly, it is. What if, I mentioned this before, what if somebody needed an ambulance and they blocked this and then someone died because of these people? It's selfish and it should be punished as a crime. They aren't praying. They are inconveniencing people to show strength and power. This has gone too far and needs to stop. You can see someone posted a reply here, which is another, basically on the other side of the street. It's the opposite view, basically. Like, what if a bunch of people who love the Kool-Aid Man decided to just go dress up in Kool-Aid costumes and sit and block the rail transit? Like, the police would be on them in 2 seconds and just arresting them. This country's so broken. How is this even allowed? Because Justin Trudeau allows this. That's why it's allowed. That's the only reason this is allowed. Most definitely, he sent some mandate through allowing this crap in our country. You can't have rules that apply to all of us and don't apply to these people. It needs to apply to everyone. With that said, we've got more chaos going on in Toronto today. So I can't play this footage, but you got a third of a second there. I'll move the frame a bit here. You can see these chips and hummus supporters are very rowdy. They are pushing back. They're doing some of the pow pow, the boom boom against the police. I'm gonna have to make up words here. You can see, like, it's not good. What kind of people did Trudeau bring into our country? This used to be so peaceful. Now it's just full of rage. The police should have put a stop to this BS at the beginning. Now it's a big problem, a growing problem. Yes. Can people hit cops now in Canada? Great question. Only if you're Palestinian, I think. The rest of us, those rules don't apply. From the St. Lawrence to the Atlantic. Yeah, no kidding. That's what's going on across our country. None of these people have jobs, which we pay for on S-service programs and unemployment to chase chaos. Increase taxes to increase all of this police, but they shut down truckers in 3 weeks. Yeah. Next up, we've got a story here posted by Pierre Polyev about a bunch of bad guys breaking into someone's house. This is what's going on in Canada now, or what's been going on now for a while.
To York Region now, where police are searching for multiple suspects who were caught on camera carrying out an armed home invasion in Markham. YRP officers were called to a house near Victoria Square Boulevard and Woodbine Avenue just after midnight on Wednesday. The surveillance video that you're seeing here shows 4 suspects forcing their way into the home, where investigators say they demanded money while carrying firearms. They ended up fleeing the scene in a red SUV with silver roof racks. There were 3 adults and a child in the home at the time. Now, no injuries were reported, but officials believe this incident was targeted, and they're asking anyone with information to come forward.
These guys need to be caught, and they need to be put into a work camp jail where they dig ditches for the next 15 years of their life. What is this? This is not Canada. This guy's sneaking around like he's the Hamburglar. Like, why? His face is covered. He's trying not to wake these people up. I mean, I'm pretty sure the second you kicked in the door, they knew you were there. Pass a bill to legalize self-defense in your own home. Yeah, we should be able to. You should be able to pull out your own, grandpa's shotgun and just take these guys out. If 4 guys come in armed in your house. I like that it says here, hint, we're going to do that in this situation regardless. Yes, 4 people come in your house and you got grandpa's shotgun. You best know grandpa's shotgun is going to be getting discharged. Next story here we've got posted by Danielle Smith, says Canada's justice system is clearly broken. We've got 24,000, fennel, the hard candy fennel pills, which were allegedly transported to Calgary from BC, destined to steal away our loved ones and tragically end lives. I mean, those hard candy fennel is very bad. It is one of the worst things ever. What are we looking at here? We're looking at a police dog that goes around that sniffs hard candy. And the dog found the hard candy, but the judge, well, I'll show you the dog clip here in a second, the judge threw out the case due to unreasonable search as the dog only partially sat.
How you doing? Good. You're going a little faster. 124 to 110. Where are you coming from? Oh. Are you nervous a little bit? Shaking a little bit?
Oh, I have to eat.
Okay. You go ahead if you...
I have hypoglycemia.
Okay, just come over here. Okay, so you got nothing. I'm just going to pat you down for weapons.
So now the dog goes to do some sniffy stiffs some more. So she's directed to the passenger side of the van out of view next to the high concrete curb. So the dog's over here. So I'll make it big for you guys so you can see the dog over here.
Oh, that's a good girl. Oh, that's a good girl.
It's like you can't really see what's going on there. It did look like the dog is sitting right there.
That's a good girl.
So they bring this guy in. They find all the hard candy fennel pills. We're calling them here. The judge throws us out. I think the judge should be put in jail for throwing this case out. Why would we have this on our streets? Is that judge working with this guy? What's going on here? Who is this judge? Let's see how they feel about their son or daughter starting to use fennel. When judges don't hold the government to a higher standard, innocent people end up in jail, just like what's happening with the Coots boys. Absolutely, and more left-leaning judges being appointed daily. Trudeau filled the courts with liberal judges, just like how he filled the useless Senate with liberals. Isn't that what a dictator does? These judges need to be held accountable. Yeah, I mean, this judge should be charged with this crime. If they're not going to do their job properly, they at least should be disbarred and removed as a judge. Got a clip here as now it's legal in Ontario for 7-Elevens, corner stores to carry the stumbling juice, we're going to call it. So you can just go in the store, you can buy stumbling juice and take it home. You can drink the stumbling juice in the store. You just can't open it and take it outside and drink it.
There are choices here and decided what we want. Do you want a nice local steam whistle? Is that what we should get?
There you go.
We were wondering if there was any craft beer. Joe was asking.
I do not see craft. You?
There's many craft stumbling juices. It doesn't look like they carry any.
I do not.
I do
not at this location.
No,
but there is some Clamato. Look at that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a steam whistle. And let's see. One of these pre-mixed cocktails would be nice to have. A twisted tea, would that be good? A twisted tea? You think a twisted tea would be good? This is just 2 drinks, and one is a pre-mixed cocktail and one's a steam whistle.
There you have it. If you want some stumbling juice in Ontario, you can get it at corner stores. Stumbling juice is 80 cents in Europe for a tall can, called Ontario for a reason. Ontario stumbling juice tax is 1 slice of that pie. We got this here. We got some civil servants. They say that they have better work-life balance when they're working from home. They're out here protesting basically because now they have to go back into the office 3 days a week.
Fight to win!
An unusually outspoken Ottawa as public servants push back.
We're seeing these unions coming together, maybe for the first time ever, in the biggest way ever, to fight one of the most anti-worker policies that we've ever seen.
The new policy, most federal government employees will have to work an additional day a week in the office, now up to 3 days of their own choosing, starting next week.
During the pandemic, we saw an increase in productivity and work-life balance because parents were able to cover off their childcare responsibilities. They didn't have to pay for childcare before and after work.
And it's not just work-life balance. Civil servants say they're more productive at home compared to being in the office, where they now often don't have their own workspace.
I spend most of my job on team and on team meeting, and there's no real plus value for me to go back to the office.
But unfortunately for the union members, it's the employer, the federal government, who has the legal right to determine where work is done.
I'll bet you every employee would say they'd love to have the right to choose. But just because that's a preference doesn't mean it becomes an entitlement.
Yeah, solidarity hot dog.
Remote work was a central issue in last year's public servant strike.
That guy just said he's solidarity hot dog.
But unions were unable to get work from home language in the collective agreement.
They say, it's not a collective agreement. Well, what do you think is going to happen next time? We're going to put it in the darn collective agreement.
The Privy Council office, who made no one available for an interview, says workers need to come back to provide better services for Canadians and build a stronger work culture. But both the feds and the unions have no hard proof to support their argument.
So first off, I think there's a lot of people who would love to just have to go to work, into work, not work from home 3 days a week. From my personal experience, when I worked downtown Vancouver and had to commute on a train every day, there was a few of us that were allowed to go to 3 days a week in office and have 2 days a week at home, which was amazing. The flip side of this, that they don't want to be in the office 3 days a week. I'm viewing it from my personal lens where it was great that I could spend 2 days a week at home and had to commute less. I think what it comes down to is if they're going to have people mandated to go into the office, then if they get their work done, say by 3:30, they have a scheduled amount of work and someone works really hard and gets it done, then they can go home early. I think that's how this should be run, because that's what happens when someone works from home. They're more motivated to crank out the work, get the job done, and then they have free time. I think that's only fair, whether it's a government job or any job. If you're being more efficient, you're getting the job done, you can either enjoy that extra free time or you do more extra work and then that can go to a bigger bonus or more pay. There should be a system to set this up. Obviously, this gets really complicated and confusing, but just throwing it out there, that's how this should work. But let me know what you guys think about civil servants being forced to go to work in office 3 days a week now. Fire them all, let them stay home. If they've been working from home, no need for them anyways. I see another way where the CPC could save money after they get elected. It's great for Pierre Poilievre. He won't have to fire the lazy people All he has to do is make them show up 5 days a week and they will quit in hordes. If you can't fire them, eliminate their jobs. So there's not a lot of support for the civil servants here in the comments. I think that's probably because, you know, a lot of these people in here that are mechanics or truck drivers, there's no days off. There's no working from home. There's always going to work. So every single day is just chaos in Canada. Whether it's the Palestinians blocking our streets and everything else, we've got guys busting into people's homes. It's just getting worse and worse in this country. Trudeau has let these people come in, and the word got out in Africa and India and all these other places. Now these dirtbags are filling the planes, coming over, pretending they're coming over for a vacation, and just robbing things, stealing things, doing all these acts, and they don't end up in jail. A little bit of house arrest, a little bit of playing Xbox while you're got an ankle monitor on, and you get back out on the streets in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. This is Trudeau's Canada.